scales from the microcosmic and subatomic to the macroscopic and universal, that there is indeed sound on all scales as well. Just as there is visible light spectrum of electron movement that we can see, there is also audible sound spectrum of movement of vibrations that we can hear. And I was explaining that.
Well, you got to look at when you get to the atom, you take the electron and you got a string of light that's curled up in the ball. They call that the string theory in science.
Right. I'm familiarized with that.
Okay. Now, if you stretch the string of light out, the less condensed it is, the different frequency it's going to put out. It's going to change it. The Higgs boson is light literally tied into a knot, which causes it to create the appearance of density.
Right.
Right. So now we're talking God particles, Higgs boson. So what we perceiving is holographically generated, and any part of the hologram is a representation of the whole.
Right. It's like divided into individual parts, but they all contain everything in all the parts.
And that's why they say as above, so below, as within, so without. Even when I talk about Enlil, Enki, I'm talking about frequencies in reality. I'm talking about vibrations, but I got to put it in the term that we know about.
Right. Because I was explaining that to a sister that, and I think she pretty much got heated when I was telling her that basically the way that we were educated in the tab was not the same way that they were educated just by strictly reading the scrolls. And I think she was pretty offended, but I didn't mean it in that way. All I was trying to tell her was that there is a lot of what's called esoteric knowledge inside of the protocols in the Wobble, right? And when I say esoteric knowledge, I'm talking about anthropomorphism and anthropopathism as a means to give a clear, concise, and comprehensive understanding of complex subject matter, right? It's not literal, it's symbolic, right? These energies are literal, but the actual person that you're talking about may not be literal. And when I tell you she was pissed off, she was pissed off.
But that's because the exoteric and the esoteric is mirror images of each other. And if you are a diligent student, the esoteric will appear as like a leak in the exoteric. So when we study in the higher sciences, we study in at its source dark matter.
Absolutely.
Everything that we tell you in science is a way to understand the dark matter and how it becomes solidified as 3D condensation in the hologram in order to form something that we can experience three-dimensionally.
Right. So back to the electron, because it just a thought came to my mind. So when I was actually having the conversation with the one, well, actually it was two, it was a brother and a sister. I was trying to describe to them that the words electric and electricity both derive from the Greek word electron, and that the word electron is composed of two Greek words, elect, meaning to choose or pick out, which is also related to, the word elite, selected or chosen, and that the word tron is an instrumentative suffix used with a verb to designate something that performs some action. So in this case, something that elects or chooses, for example, the particle that elects to move, and that the etymological root of all of the words, electric, electricity, electron, elect, elite, lecture, and intellect, is lexis, as in lexicon, and more specifically, the Greek word or Latin word logos, the spoken word in the Greek philosophy that was designed from the creative utterance word or tone of what we call patah, called who in ancient Kemetic philosophy. And they thought that was just, a little bit more complex. You got a more simplistic way of explaining it.
That sounded pretty simplified form to me.
That's what I thought. Like, it's just like, but I think that sometimes when people are reading, they're reading with intent to not have to go outside of that to be able to validate or do some research about it themselves. They just want to believe in whatever the book actually said. And to me, from my perspective, that's kind of that's definitely kind of lazy.
Well, not necessarily, because, like, for instance, I can use the Bible to teach a Christian out of Christianity, and they won't really be as a man-controlled drone as they are under the doctrine of the church.
Right.
The same book can have a different effect when taught at a different angle.
That's because you're going to give different interpretation as you explain and define the words.
Well, actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come with a Bible and a Strong's Concordance, and every time I tell them something, I'm going to show them what I'm talking about. But the church not going to do that. The church is going to say, and the Lord fed the multitude with 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread.
Yeah. And that's not our way of teaching. That's definitely not our way.
And my first thing I tell them is, the first thing you got to understand about the 2 fishes, that's representation of Pisces.
Absolutely.
And then when I tell you about 5 loaves of bread, that's 5D consciousness. 5D consciousness in the Aquarian, in the Piscean age, would have put you above water. But you stuck at 32 minus, which means that you froze. Right. I'm just trying to get you to 33 and you can break free.
Right. But see, that goes back to the esoteric teachings. What you're doing is, when we teach like that, we are actually translating the symbolisms into the reality of what it's actually saying.
Right. Because when you're looking at 12 disciples in the Christ, you're looking at the old civil priest's order. But you don't know that because you don't know nothing about the civil priest. That's the average Joe. The civil priest consisted of 12 matriarchs and a grand matriarch. And that's where your Catholic Church got its form and function from. They just put the Pope up there as a drag queen.
You call him a drag queen.
he is. I can't even, what I got to do to show you, everybody see him wearing a dress every day. Yeah. They just didn't know that was the dress code for the civil priestess, and they put the colors in reverse. See, he's supposed to, if he was a woman, he'd be dressed in black instead of white, because he would be representing of the noon. And the nuns, who was, as they saying, is the representative of the noon, would be in white and not black, because they would be representing of the light that came forth from the dark mother.
Right.
But they switched everything in reverse, and then they turned it upside down, so you can't figure it out. That's our old orders. All of that shit is ancient. They just usurped it because we was familiar with it. Genetic memory recognized the Christ story, but we being taught it wrong, so we don't know what it means.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it's time for us to get out of here, man. I enjoyed you. I'm going to give a shout out to the young elder. I should be back on his channel doing the WAPIC class on Wednesdays. Shout out to the brother Love, all of the sisters that's actually participating in the WAPIC classes. I commend y'all for your willpower, dedication, and devotion. Keep up with the good work. Shout out to the brother Rod Hayes for giving us that good information all over again, because they was asking for you, man. They was definitely asking.
Well, I'm here. So
right. I done dropped the brother Cash App in the link. Not the link, but the comment section if y'all want to show him some love. And we still trying to build this school. We need to get on the ball so that we can be ready by the time the master teacher get here. Anything you got else to say, bro, before we get out of here?
Just watch what happened. That's all I can tell y'all at this point. We passed trying to tell y'all we got to watch it from here.
Yeah, man, it's going to be a sad song being sung for a lot of people. They just not listening. And like
there's more people listening than we know. It's just that the reality of what's happening versus their expectations doesn't match. So they don't know what to do and they froze.
I can see that. I could definitely see that. But nonetheless, we still need everybody, from my perspective, we need everybody active. We need to be together. We all need to be on one.
I think the big wake up is going to be when we see the elders make their appearance to the public.
Yeah, why is that?
A lot of them ain't going to move until they have that shock and awe of the disclosure. and shake their consciousness. Some of them that didn't know what to do going to automatically remember at that point. It's a monumental event. It's a life-altering exposure. When you realize that your people been oppressed by some motherfuckers that look like you, that use pale faces to conceal their dirty hands, that's going to be enough wake-up call for a motherfucker to be like, what the fuck? Because the worst thing I discovered in the self-discovery journey is the white man ain't white. That nigga look like us, but he ain't us. That hurt my feelings more than anything else. How can a motherfucker that look like us do this to us, but they not like us? They just look that way. They infiltrated all our organizations looking like us, talking down on whitey who they put in power.
And another question, I'm glad you mentioned that because I've explained this for the past probably 20-something years, but I want you to give your perspective on it. 6 ether and 3 ether. How would you describe 6 ether?
Can't nobody describe it better than Bubble. 6 ether is ghost. It's the death of 9 ether. It's the total inverse. So if you look at the dominant recessive gene chart, 6 ether is on one end of the spectrum, and 9 ether is on the entirely other end of the spectrum. But neither one of them in and of themselves is good or bad. But until you put an intention with them, that's what makes the difference.
Gotcha. All right, we getting ready to get out of here, man. I'll probably hit you up for part 3. I'm about to answer some of these phone calls because they blowing my phone up right now. I want to hear what they got to say.
Well, just get your paper and take their questions, and we do them next time.
All right, what do?
What do? Nephew, I'm taking another caller in here.
All right, Supreme Peace on Rod.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
There's some divine feminine up in here. What do you know? The sister already was knocking. So yeah, they got kicked out of Africa. That's what made them go to Spain in 7-Eleven. Hey,
Hello.
how you doing? Tell us where you calling from.
California. I live in like near Los Angeles.
Oh yeah, y'all about to see the heat come down out there.
Yeah, yeah. And I wanted to add on to the Kanye West thing. You know how like Adidas dropped him and stuff like that. Like I feel like we as a people should stop supporting those businesses. You know, like stop buying. Like in my
agree.
Yeah. And I feel like that's really what's gonna hurt. You know, like people have talked about it before. Like if we stop supporting their companies, then they're And I feel like a lot of these other celebrities shouldn't be afraid to talk about it. Like because I feel like Kanye West it'd be really sad for him to be doing all of this and then nothing happened. And I feel like even when he was doing the interview on Drink Champs, and like you could tell like the co-host kind of gets it, but at the same time it's like you could tell like they're afraid.
So let's talk about that Drink Champs. The host was Noriega.
Yeah.
Noriega from New York. Noriega is a stand-up dude, but the motherfucking force that he's faced with, he did not know that the force was that big and that pervasive until after that interview when they contacted him.
Yeah, and told him to take it down. Yeah.
No, it's not just take it down. That wasn't the issue. Right, because it's still up. It's
Yeah.
still, people still putting clips of it up. It's out there now.
Yeah.
People can't unhear that shit once they heard it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what he's faced with. He's face to face looking at this motherfucking dragon that Kanye dragging out. He don't want no parts of that shit because he don't understand what it is or how to deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. But this is my son Zion. You see that? Oh, he's watching TV. But yeah, but I'll be listening to the conversation, and I really appreciate, everything that you do and going live, because I've learned so much, even just about like Inky and Inlo. Like I didn't really know a lot about like that information, so it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just keep your eye on Ye. Watch what happens. He's dragging their ass out in real time.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, beloved.
All right. Have a good day.
You too. So we got to get on our. Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. What's going on, great one?
Taking it easy. Where you calling from?
I'm calling from Nashville, Tennessee. Cashville in the building.
Yeah, Cashville to the key up in this motherfucker.
Yes.
What's up?
There's a couple of us on here. The Awakening, he on here till we all from Nashville.
Yeah, but y'all, we about to watch this shit. I'm telling you, Kanye making this motherfuckers real uncomfortable in they motherfuckers.
He is big Gemini energy. Big Gemini energy. You talking to a Gemini right now? I already know what's up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I do have a question. When you're talking about the priestess that was sacrificed in Haiti, what is her name? You never say her name.
The reason I say her name because she got to have her Oshun ritual.
Oh, okay.
She can't be presented to the public until the first ritual in Florida is done. So I can't put her out there like that. It's not safe for her.
Okay. Oh, okay. Because I'm like, who is it? I've been trying to figure out who it is for the longest. I think I got an idea who it is. I think I do. But let me see. Another thing too. There are two sets of mounds that are like within 30 minutes of Nashville. For some reason, I think Nashville is like a center point or something. A lot of presidents lived here. Andrew Jackson has a home here. The Feast Jubilee singers that were from here. Zora Neale Hurston lived here. I just think it's a center point. Do you think you can break that down a little bit?
Well, you got to look. Memphis is an ancient city.
Okay.
It was part of the three cities that ran the Kemetic Empire. Heliopolis means city of the sun. That's Los Angeles.
Okay.
The city of Thebes is the city of thieves, which is Chicago.
Okay.
And Memphis is Memphis. You gonna Memphis, what the fuck Memphis give you, and they not gonna put no dressing on that. They're not gonna make that shit look pretty for you. They gonna give it to you Memphis style, and you gonna either learn the culture or you gonna get dealt with by the culture. That's how Memphis roll.
Yeah.
So it's not perfect. Just you don't respect the people on the land where they at. They not gonna respect you for coming to their land.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So Memphis was a pivotal city, and those cities in Tennessee are outreach cities. Of Memphis. And some of them in Kentucky is outreach cities from Memphis as well. Okay.
Did you see that part where I think I sent you a picture like a couple weeks ago where the Trail of Tears came through here on Dickinson Road, and it's like the energy on that street. It's always something crazy, something bizarre happens. It's like a lot of prostitution in that area. It's just like a real heavy energy. Somebody always getting killed on that street. It's just the energy from the Trail of Tears have never left that area.
So they call it the Trail of Tears. It's the Trail of Thieves. They was stealing our birthright. So this is what they was doing. Okay. Reservation location. They say, see, we brought y'all here. Motherfucker, you dropped me off in Mississippi. You dropped my cousin off in Arkansas. You dropped my auntie off in motherfucking Georgia. You dropped my uncle off in motherfucking Alabama. And you think we ain't supposed to notice this shit? We all over this motherfucker. We know who the fuck we is. Stop trying to tell us the bullshit. We not falling for it.
Okay.
You know? Okay. The Trail of Tears is how they switched us out.
Okay.
Look, we remember, we all came from west, northwest, southwest, all the way to Florida. Thought us going home. right? And on the way home, when they stopped at Big Mama house like we would normally do, they put us in prison at Big Mama house, and they dropped their name out the house and just called it a big house.
Okay.
Right? That's Big Mama house. They stole it. We must return it. It's not personal. It's just family business.
Okay.
So while they was imprisoning us in POW camps at Big Mama house that they had makeshift into what they call a plantation.
Okay.
Right? The plantation was Gitmo of the early conquerors.
Okay.
Wasn't no slave system as they told it to us. Unless you understand that being a prisoner of war makes you a slave by default.
Okay.
That's what the only slavery that's ever been over here. Prisoners of war passed off as being foreigners when they organic to the land. Any one of us that knew who we were, they murdered them for telling us. And that's why you got motherfuckers like Jesse Jackson, Cherokee ass, watered down nigga that's scared to tell you. Cause he's scared of death. Motherfucker, I'm gonna die sooner or later anyway. Might as well be sooner. That means I can get back to whoop your ass next time faster.
For real, for real. So look, I got this other thing too. That's been happening to me probably for about the last 3 years. It's like I've downloaded some type of ancient language, and if somebody pisses me off, I go into it. I blacked out. I just did this recently. I end up losing my job because of some stuff, and they pissed me off so bad. I went into this thing where I blacked out and I started speaking in this ancient language. And when I came to, everybody was just standing around looking at me. They called the police on me. Thank God I didn't go to jail. But I no longer have employment at this place.
Fuck a job. That's what I say. They ain't deserve you no way. They was vampirizing your energy at that place.
They was. I was so drained and tired, and I knew I wasn't gonna be there much longer. My spirit had already told me I wasn't gonna be there before the end of the year. But when they came at me with it, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready when the way that they came at me, and I snapped in there. I ain't even gonna lie. I snapped. That angry black woman came out.
Don't feel bad, because before I left work, I made sure I cussed me a couple motherfuckers out too.
Okay. Long as I ain't by myself.
Hey.
Well, I wish I don't care if I'm by myself or not. That other twin gonna come out, so it don't matter.
You did? Yeah. All right, sweetie. I'm gonna take one more call. I think I might have time for one more.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Unc.
Yeah, I'll talk to you later.
All right. Okay.
Detroit is the site of a sacred battle between the French and the Organics. The French stronghold was Belle Isle. Chief Pontiac went down to Belle Isle and whooped their motherfucking ass and sent them on about their merry way. So as far as Detroit being sacred land, it's the 313, and 3 is a perfect 7, and the 7 is in the middle of the circle. And the circle got 4 breaks. That's north, south, east, and west, unless it's north, east, west, and south. And whichever way it comes, the acronym tells you that this is the news. And the report is that these motherfuckers can't fuck with us. They fucking with the wrong niggas. But they don't know that yet because they think it's business as usual when it's not business as usual. Everything they thought they was about to get away with has been interrupted. And now the only thing that's left is the last little vestiges of power that they trying to suck off of. So this is a wrap for them motherfuckers. If you want me to talk about Haiti more, sweetie, you're going to have to come in and ask questions because I can't think of nothing I haven't said already. Tell your children that God overthrowing the devil right now, and that's why they can't go to school. If you see runes in the sky, try to get a picture of them. Start trying to get a picture of them. You get a picture of them, we can translate them because the runes is letters to an ancient language. Okay, let me see who's in here. So, the question is, for y'all that want to know, all you got to worry about for the moles cleaning up the house is Chief League Angel Bay is the one who's ordering the cleanup. If you are more, you need to be in tune with the Peace Stone Nation because they the ones gonna be cleaning up the dirty Moors from out of the house of the righteous Moors. They know who everybody is because the grand governing body of the Moorish Science Temple got all of their names on file in the dirt that they did. So don't even worry about how you're gonna clean it up. It's just waiting to see Angel Bay so it can get cleaned up. All of these motherfuckers got to go. And we got the right motherfuckers. So he being backed up by Big Tukey and his clan. So it is what it is. There's some more Cali love in this motherfucker. You don't know nothing about that Cali love. My motherfuckers ain't had nobody. Hey. What's going on? Tell them where you calling from.
How you doing?
I'm good. Tell them where you calling from.
I'm calling from San Diego, California, but we represent LA too. You know how to throw that out there. You know.
You sound slightly muffled, like your speaker covered up.
Oh, can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Do you have on a headset?
Let me look for it. Let me see. Hold on.
It sounds like you got a headset on, and the headset is muffled. Muffled.
It's right. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but you just sound muffled.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me look for these headphones. Because my phone's kind of messed up because I've been having it through the mud.
Oh, okay. Well, that explains it then. So,
Yeah.
what you want to talk about?
Let's talk about how we just been right about this. We've been telling the people what's been happening. You know, they look at us crazy, but a lot of us been saying what Kanye just said since the beginning of the year and time. You know, everybody just prepare yourself spiritually, mentally. No weapon formed us shall prosper. All physical diseases can be cured in the herbs. Don't believe nothing they say because everything could be cured. Treat your mamas right and, you know, light candles, get your cleanses done because the righteous will rise. That's just what I feel.
It's coming. We watching it in real time, and that's what makes it so difficult to see what's going on because hindsight is 2020.
So everybody who knows what's been really going on because there's just a bandwagon of everybody like, oh, fuck Kanye. Why didn't we cancel him when he said slavery was a choice? But it's like everything is planned out. It's just we, the real ones, know what's been going on. Ever since Nip died, that's when shit got real.
I know.
They took Nip, but Nip is still here. Nip will come to you in a dream. He'll do what he got to do, but you know, things happen for a reason. And I just everybody strap up, whether it's spiritually with a weapon. You know, my family just came back from Michoacan in Mexico, and my sister was telling me that like in the street, the people are just walking with a machete, you know, ready for anything out in the ranch over there. So, you know, whether it's with that, lighting a candle, releasing your traumas, because we have a lot of trauma, a lot of sexual trauma too, that needs to be released, and we just gotta get ready.
Yeah. So they think that wall gonna stop Mexico when the time comes.
That ain't gonna do
But
anything.
look, when El Chapo get that order, they gonna tear that wall down. Coming over here.
Yeah. The thing is, the people, whether it's because I live right here by San Diego, so the Haitians, there's a bunch of Haitians here. What people don't know is that there's underground tunnels. People are gonna get here one way or another. Somebody knows somebody, and life is about who you know. So it don't even matter. It's just People gotta see through that shit and keep it pushing, because I see it all right here. Being in Cali, I see everything. Like, see my eyes, how big. I see everything, and sometimes it gets scary, but we gonna be all right.
Yep. So in Mexico, they got some OGs, but they ain't the Spaniards that settled there. They not the settlers.
No.
They the ones up in the hills, like the Zapata or Zapatista. And them groups, that's the organic people over there, and they done fucked around and made connections with the Panthers, so it's going down.
Yeah, like there's groups over there, should I say, in the intellectual way. There's groups over there. Everybody know what time it is. Everybody is repping Tupac, even across the border, repping Thug Life. Everybody knows what it is, and it don't stop. My son's name is Amaru, and it's just the marathon continues. There's just too much going on. The people just gotta understand. Do your spiritual work. Do your candles and stop fucking around, because we've been knowing what is going to happen. So listen to the people that seem like a conspiracy or seem crazy. Just listen. And on skin folk and kin folk too. They might look like us, but ain't us. Even my own race, Mexican and Puerto Ricans, they might look like me, but they're some fucking coons.
Yeah, we already know that. They all look. All of them motherfuckers don't get they just do.
Yeah, it's I just want to show y'all a little bit of my altar. I ain't gonna show y'all everything, but look, I got the gorilla right here, and the frog, and I got Nit, and this kind of a glare. So we gonna be okay. We gonna be okay. And I got my little bell. You know, and I wish you guys all money. Today's St. Jude's Day, so all money in. And I just wanted to share some good energy with y'all, because and make sure you got this deck. Everybody, get this deck. Get this deck, and make sure you have zinc too. Okay.
You can't take it without magnesium, or you can't use it.
Yeah. So make sure you are taking the right things so it can work. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you. I just want to say thank you.
Against the man-inflicted brain damage, against the bumps and the falls and the trips and the obstacles and the jealousies and the envies and the hatreds, because none of that don't even matter. Somebody got to walk the walk. In order to find out what it felt like to be free, we have to mentally break free first. If you don't mentally break free, you ain't gonna never be physically free. No matter what you do, even if you attempt to walk in righteousness, that thing that should be freeing you is gonna be your bondage. So that's how we end up going from spirituality to religion, because you wanted to be in bondage to servitude. So now you got stuck in these religions. Religion's got a purpose, but you ain't using it for the right purpose. Using it to have a goddamn reason to blame God and the devil for your insecurities and your weaknesses that you don't want to let go. Preachers sit there and tell you all day long to give up your demons, your vices. Some of them still have them too. You got to remember, just because a man walk the path don't mean he ain't going to fall down sometime. You know, you don't want the perfect leader, because if he look too perfect, you know, if it sounds too good to be true, you need to look again. Ain't nobody that is not walked in the shoes of the worst of the worst, through the hardest of times and the difficulties of struggles. If they haven't been through what we've been through, they can't tell you how to get out of it. If they don't have a determination to get themselves out of it, they can't tell you how to get out of it. And when you're talking about Ein Sof, when you're talking about capturing this wisdom and making the final connect, it's going to do something that's going to have an effect, that's going to be a radiant effect. And a lot of people are going to resent not having their insecurities to hold on to like they was free falling off a cliff and caught a branch. They got to have those weaknesses to feel alive, because they don't want to develop the strengths. It's like being the greatest singer in the world, but ain't nobody hear you because you're always singing in the basement in the shower. What good is it to have a gift if you can't share it? Why would you turn it into a curse? So we have to always be cognizant. You're right, man, babe. But it's not. Sometimes you have to see somebody else break free. You don't know what it look like. You don't got nothing to compare it to. If you don't know what it look like, you don't got nothing to compare it to. You have to find something to compare it to, even if you have to create it yourself. So I didn't see that. I seen a lot of leaders, or what we call them leaders. They never told you where they was going, so they didn't have a destination. So they didn't have a destination. Y'all was all walking to nowhere together. You know, they had ideas, but the ideas were not true liberating ideas. You need a fusion of spirit, science, and matter. You need a diffusion of the three within any movement in order to understand what the problem and the solution is. If you can't look at it from a civilian perspective and a military perspective, you have cop. You know? Most people only good at one field. They only study one field, one thing. And they become so good at that one thing that it turns them into an idiot. It turns into an educated fool because they have no clue about the next things that matter on a unified field concept. All of this stuff is related because everything that's without is a reflection of everything that's within. As you learn from learning to write your book of life and identify it, you start finding out that those things which were lacking on the inside is what you've been chasing on the outside. And not until you've assimilated that idea will your wisdom be able to rise to another level. So, the totem animals teaches us lessons. Mine being the gorilla, my familiar being the canine. Those are for purposes. The whole gorilla scenario, RH positive blood, reclaiming the blood right. The mitochondrial influence over the primates is matriarchal. You know, reestablishing the mother at her rightful position and ready to go to war with anybody who want to interfere with that. I'm going to make this as clear as possible. And from the perspective and the lenses of wisdom, I'm going to tell you exactly what I see the problem is. The matriarchal system was established because of a matriarchal planet Earth is feminine. Prime creator, what we call in ancient Kemet Tawaret, is feminine. As she becomes incarnate, you see her symbol as the hippopotamus with the human mammary glands. This is the same as when you see your slave antebellum mammy statue. It's the same symbolism, the same meaning. And Those were symbols to represent the mother of creation in her true position, because when you look at the zodiac, you got the 12 signs of the zodiac in a 360-degree circle. And in the center of that 363 circle is the seat of the great mother. They don't tell us that because they blinded us by moving her sun in the field of view. So you can never see her for what she really is. And this was your patriarchal eclipse. They call it the Kali Yuga. So while we were so focused on the sun, we never knew that he drew all of his light, his solar light, his Ra, came from the love of his mother through her mitochondria, radiating the love energy throughout creation. Without it, there is nothing. So when you start to assimilate the wisdom, the first thing you realize that God ain't no man, and it's not possible that he could have ever been one, and that a man is a side effect of a woman, a mutation of a woman. When you get that first thing understood, and you get to see Sophia for what she really is, and she's not going to surrender, she's not going to bow down, she's not going to quit. She's going to make you earn her respect, because you're going to have to make her earn yours. This is going to be a two-way dance between y'all, always struggling. Kundalini rising. At some point, she finally stops and she look at you and say, it's time. The fight is over. And we have to realize one thing, that if anybody think that they're going to be able to be entitled, that's going to be the only crime. You can't think like that. That's the destruction of us. You know, that's the destruction of us. They cut the children off. They cut the children off from the elders systematically. Now, I talked about education on one of my other videos, and step down education. Now, this goes directly to the severing of the wisdom from the elder to the youth. Everything was done in a tier system under the matriarchal system. The elderly women sat back and they watched over everything. Big Mama Madia, they watched over Aunt May and Aunt Susie while they took care of the young mothers and made sure that they had everything right. Step down education, right? Now watch this. Early education, before it was called a school, was step down education. And they had to get out of that and isolate all of the children so they could submit to authority. In step-down education, you passing the wisdom from the elders to the vigor of the youth so that they can control their passions and desires as they grow up. When you turn that off, you have breaks. You have breaks in wisdom where an intelligent child make a foolish decision because there's no saturation of the wisdom through the step-down method that they were receiving. This is why we wrote Aesop's fables. There's stories in there. It sounds like you're reading for an adult, but look at the level the children have failed from Aesop's fable to Sam and Meg. Aesop's fable was bedtime stories for 2-year-olds when they were written. Think about that. Read a 2-year-old book now and you're going to see a bunch of pictures that don't have but like 3 words. Aesop's fable was bedtime stories for children. There's a catch to Aesop's fable. Aesop's fables implant jewels and gems that will be cultivated over a lifetime as the child learned to read signs and symbols as he developed. But we don't read that no more. We read children's stories like the dog ran behind the cat. Slow their brain down, you can interfere with their processing. We're talking about the development of wisdom. It would be better to read Proverbs and Ecclesiastics every night at bedtime than to read what they got us reading now. My mom, that's the only 2 books I used to read in the Bible for a very long time. Because the rest of that stuff was not food for thought yet. I wasn't wise enough to see the wisdom in that. And Daniel being the judgment. You know? Uriel, fire God, all those kinds of things didn't make sense to me at that time, so I couldn't assimilate that, but I could assimilate a good name. It's more valuable than diamonds and gold. In the Proverbs, it made sense. You know, who wanna go through life with a name like shithead? You know, but how would you feel if your name was king or queen? Just the difference in the name changes the way the person feel. We give people namesakes, name them after somebody. We don't tell them why we did it. There used to be an integral part of namesakes, naming your child after your brother because your brother was a stand-up mofo. We lost track of that. You know, these are just some of the things I see. Looking at it eye to eye with Sophia. 14. What about the 14, Elaine? The whole breakdown, like when you listening to the Bible on tape versus reading it, you get a different set of lessons. And I couldn't understand that. Why does it sound different than when I'm reading it? You know. Then you look at different legends from around the world, and then these stories, and you start moving up to the meet Sophia eye to eye, these stories start lining up with each other out of nowhere. That's called a convergence. All things moving into a central point. And the convergence is a downward spiral or upward spiral, but it's a spiraling effect. In my case, spiraling toward the center of the self, wondering why you can't release certain things externally that you have internally as a representation, and then you start to understand why. Yep, Daniel 14:27. Yep. But the name Daniel means judgment of El, or the judgment of God, just the name. Daniel being the great judge, we're not really understanding what's going on there. That's taken from a Sumerian court order, the book of Daniel. And what had happened in that era, there's one visit of what they call Anu, the king of the gods in the Sumerian doctrine, coming to earth. He was Daniel, because he was the king of the gods. Now remember, it was 3 of them that was captured by Nebuchadnezzar. It was Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these 3 was Enlil, Enki, and Anu. And it was only one. They called him Nebuchadnezzar. Nebo means the light. Think about that. They called him Nebuchadnezzar, and then they cursed him to be as a beast of the field for a period of time. Right? Now, what we're not realizing that that's telling us he's going to be going through something called Dark Night of the Soul. That's your book of Job. Now go to the beginning of Job, you see that the devil never tried to do anything to Job. God threw Job to the devil. Hey, you check out my son Job, you better go get him. God did that, not the devil. See, everybody be mad at the devil, but that was Anu issuing the decree for Enlil to have the right in order to blind Nebuchadnezzar. These stories are all overlapping Sumerian doctrine. This is Sumerian text that was filtered through the Babylonians and fed to the world as the Bible in the Christian church through Rome. So the stories are intertwined. They're wove like fabric. You got to take it apart and realign it in order to know what's taking place. Now, in order to understand why Anu even had to come down here for leave Nibiru, you would have had to know that the story was like this. There was a war in heaven. That was Nibiru. What happened up there? Well, the queen of heaven and earth gave birth to a son and pissed Enlil off, and he became jealous. This is your war in heaven. They talk about it in the Gita. Look at how Arjuna's talking about family members, asking Krishna about the family members on both sides of the conflict. It's all the same story spread out all over the world so that we can stay in this shit forever. I'm not buying it. So, the blood, according to Genesis, the conflict or the enmity was between the woman seed and the serpent seed. Now, if you look at the zodiac, between Virgo and Scorpio, there is the zodiacal sign of Libra, which is the scales of justice. At one time, Scorpio and Virgo was the exact same sign. The indiscretion there tells us that the Libra or the injustice was placed between them. So the justice had to be established between the Virgo or the young maiden or Venus and Scorpio or Mars, the god of war. So something happened between the god of war, Mars, and Venus that made the gods give a judgment, and it had to be resolved through the laws of Mott, because that's where you get your scales of justice to begin with. Right? So in resolving this injustice, what was the injustice? It was the separation of the wisdom from the divine love when they gave the eclipse. The eclipse, or the trying to block out the mother by exalting the male or the son. The eclipse. And so when you're looking at what they're telling you in the stories are all interlocking together, right? And that's why I didn't tell you Revelations that when everybody waiting on somebody to read the book, it was only one person that could read the book, because it take a long time for DNA to spread out to its maximum point, in which it can't spread anymore before it starts to come back in to a singularity. It starts out divergent, then it becomes convergent. And the convergence creates your insurgence. They tell it to you in the movies. The DNA got to go out to critical mass, and then it has to implode. Explode, implode. It's the DNA chain. In order for that same signature of DNA, it'll be a different body, but the DNA numbering system has a variable that is limited before it reproduce the exact same sequence that it did in order to facilitate the same refractions of light at your DNA level. In order for all of those rays of light to line up the way they did in a prior era, in order for you to build everything back to where it was, your DNA have to go through a whole lot of changes over a whole lot of time, and then all of a sudden it'll be the exact same DNA sequence. So now, when you do a DNA test for a child, they look for certain markers, never telling you that those markers have a limit to where you can read them. So they keep us confused. So now they want to keep us idiots forever. The only way to keep us idiots forever is to do one thing. The people to desire to be an idiot and be under oppression forever more than they desire to be free. You have to want to be oppressed more then the oppressor wants to oppress you in order to remain afflicted at this point. And so they keep telling us all these different things. I got people send me messages and tell me certain stuff, but my thing is this: I'm doing my part. I can't do your part. I can't work with nobody that don't want to work with me, because that's irrational and foolish. And I just hope these people don't keep this oppressive, artificial light matrix in position. They trying to trap us once again through CERN, so y'all know what's going on over there. It's not going to work this time, though, because the contingency is already at play. But they trying. Y'all just need to be aware. And they already didn't confess to it. So, when we try to get the key to here, we normally get stuck here. That's why it says, seeing they will not see, hearing they will not hear, for their hearts have waxed cold. Well, what does the word wax mean? Think about that. It didn't just turn cold, or it didn't freeze, it was waxed cold. Think about that. Then start talking to some of your Keyon masters and asking what are they seeing in the heart chakras of these people they've been healing. You need to start making sense. Their hearts were waxed cold. It didn't turn cold. It wasn't made cold. It's black magic or sorcery, wickedry, whatever you want to call it. It's still science. It's just a type of science that's not for the benefit of the most people. And as long as people ignore the facts, they can't never break it. So you gotta stop and turn around and look you in your face and say, I ain't running no more. And you got to stop running too. You got to come one with the wisdom. The Ein Sof. Put on the crown. But I just had a few things on my mind about the wisdom and the philosophers. The Socrates, the Platos, the Aristotles, the Gurdjieffs, you know, ancient mystic masters. All these people did all that suffering. It just don't make sense to me. And people honor them for their suffering. They went to all that suffering for you to get from under the suffering, but now that it's time to get from under the suffering, you won't do it? That don't make no sense. You reverence everybody that struggled to get you from under struggling, but you don't want to take a couple of little hits to get from under the oppression. You blame everybody else so you don't have to deal with what you are on the inside. Everything you chasing on the outside of you is what you chasing on the inside of you. That's your clue. And it's not really a clue because it's direct. Because I don't like hiding, I don't like ducking. If I got something to tell you, the deceiver used deception. I don't need it. I'll use it, but I don't need it. Because I'll walk right up to him and sever his head. It don't matter to me one way or the other. So, we got to realize if we ever want to get free, we have to control our energy. That's the simplest way to look at it. Control your energy. Optimize your energy. Become energy efficient within the self. Don't just give yourself and your energy away willy-nilly. And don't keep accepting this oppressive stuff or you're going to be stuck in it. Because I'm not finna be stuck in it. I'm done with it. So, I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm going to play with my dogs a little bit. Probably walk down to a lake. But, it's about to look up. A lot of changes about to come. Just changes here. Chase the wisdom, feel the love, honor the response. Keep your eyes on the prize. One love. Hey, Black.
What is he, burnt? You know what I'm saying? Shit, burnt.
Look, that's why his nose looked like that from being burned and exposed to the sun, and he can't take it.
Oh yeah,
His nose has got calluses.
Go ahead, you can see it. You can see it. Yeah, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
You can see he got this. He gets sunburned.
Yeah. So his story, this picture right here, he's supposed to be like 100 and something years old.
Okay. That's another reason too. He 100 or something.
Yeah, but black don't crack.
No, black don't crack like this though. My grandma was 100 and something. She ain't look like this.
Mm-hmm. Anybody that know people know where that motherfucker come from.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get back to the post. We got some more dogs roll reading to do.
Yeah, I like this. I like your post on your page. You got some good shit. All right, let's roll that back, baby. That pull back up, please. Where were we? Hold on, we were right here. All right.
Keep going. That's just a commercial. The Curtis Act, passed in 1898, targeted the 5 civilized tribes. Here's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
They call these the 5 civilized tribes, and they changing the names.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Specifically Cherokee and Seminole. Seminole should be Gullah or Gullah Getcha.
Mm-hmm.
And Cherokee is a whole nother word. I can't even pronounce that shit right now because my mind ain't over there.
Mm-hmm.
But the Curtis Act passed in 1898 targeted 5 civilized tribes, forcing them to accept allotments and register on the dog roll. Now here's the key thing. It say to accept allotments. What does that mean?
To set reservations, I think.
Absolutely. See, so they was moving to put $5 Indians on reservations using this system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, say the two acts which came, scroll down, during the period of murky social context. See what that say?
Mm-hmm. Murky social context. These niggas be wording some shit, man.
Right. Now,
not clear. I mean, it's not clear. It's not a clear,
right,
decisive, you know.
All right, now look. This is where the murky social context come in. After the Civil War, when white and so-called black men were intermarrying with Native American women, aimed to help the government keep track of real Indians, while accelerating efforts to assimilate Indian people into so-called white culture.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So this is what murkied the waters. The one drop of blood doctrine, the great melting pot. Everybody giving up a drop of blood, and then they all coming together to try to confuse the genetics.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, let's keep going. We ain't done. By 1865, African Americans and white Americans were moving into the Midwest, into the Indian and Oklahoma territories, all vying for some patch of land that they could call their own and live out their Jeffersonian view of independence.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
Scroll down. Let's see read some more.
Yes.
He said the federal government poured a lot of effort and energy into the Dawes Commission, but at the same time, it was very hard for both Native and American governments to keep track of who was who.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, this is important when we get to the Trail of Tears.
Okay. Okay.
The Dawes Commission set up tents in Indian territory. They told us that we lived in teepees.
Yeah.
Right?
Get the hell out of here with that shit. Go ahead.
Look, go back to Google for a minute. We're going to come back to this page, but we're going to go to Google and type in Hun's tents. HUN